Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm the Gentleman and welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's Pixel Club. Today we are playing a Crash cover magazine. This is the tape in question that we're playing, and it came from magazine number 63 of June 1989. What are cover tapes? Back in the day, magazine sales were declining and there was a few magazines that were in competition with each other, so they all started to put cover tapes on the front of their magazines to bid young people to buy their magazine because it came with some great games. There were commercial games on here, there were demos on here, and all in all it was a bit of fun, but it was cracking good value. Bear in mind, back then the price of games were northbound of £5, some 7-8 quid, 10 quid, maybe even more. The magazine only cost £1.50, as you can see up here, or rather over there. And if you look at the price per game there for this particular one, you get 3 commercial games and 1 demo. So let's say 50p per game plus a free magazine and a demo. Great value. So we're going to be playing this. We're going to take you through these. I have not seen all of these. This is a long video in terms of, it's been a little while since I produced a video because I've been planning and thinking about what I've been doing, buying some stuff behind the scenes to carry on doing this. And you get in 4 videos for the price of 1. Some of these tapes had 6 games on, 8 games on. If I do this for future releases, I think I'll probably split those videos. But for this one, you've got 4 in 1. So thank you for being with me. I hope you enjoy this video. Let's crack on with this. The first game we are going to be looking at here is Dizzy. Dizzy was by Codemasters, and the Codemaster brothers, whose name escapes me for the moment, yes, it was the Oliver twins, are still around today and they still produce our games today. I believe for the Spectrum Next they're working on a Dizzy game, and Dizzy was a really popular character. If you haven't guessed, he was this egg that you're controlling on the demo here on this Crash magazine, and he died. It's a very brutal demo, dead straight away, no game over, just into the interest screen, but a very tough game as well. This is the first time that I'd ever played any Dizzy games. I'd played a couple of times before on this demo. I don't understand why the ground disappeared. I played a couple of times before on the demo just to get used to the controls, but I'd never loaded one in beforehand, and it reminded me of one Manic Miner with the really pretty flashing objects you've got here, which reminded me of the keys that you used to collect. And secondly, Pyjarama by Micronaut, where you controlled Wally and you had to walk around in your dream state. There was other games in that series like Herbert's Dummy Run, Everyone's a Wally and stuff like this. But in essence, this felt very much like a collect game where you collect objects to do things. But by God, it was so hard. I know I could have gone left, but all I wanted to do was progress to the right of the screen, and the jumping, took some getting used to. And when you collect objects as well, you can see them where it says holding above you, and any movement took me to that skeleton where I died. And I'm thinking, dear God, if this was a demo and I had never ever played this before, I either need to 1, hone my skills, or 2, think about different kind of games to play. And I did used to like the Pyjarama type games, so I need to put my teeth in for this. And this is reminiscent of them, but just so bloody hard. I can see why people would have enjoyed it. They would have enjoyed the challenge, but I'm wondering, on this version of Dizzy, this demo version, are all the games this hard? I hope not, because I would be absolutely dead in the water with them. And sometimes when you collect objects, you get a message like this that you can see. So this tells you it's a demo game, tells you about great games that Codemasters produce, and yes, they did make some brilliant games. I'm not sure this was one of them because it was so hard, but I remember Rockstar Ate My Hamster and games like this. So if I had loaded this up for the first time back then, would I still be playing it? I probably would have given up by now because it's hard. It's very hard, and I was getting nowhere fast with this. And even on this playthrough which ends when I lose this life, it was just too hard for old me that's playing now, and I suspect it was probably too hard for young me. I'm trapped in this little cabin, as you can see, and we die and it's game over. So what we do now is we're going to move on to the next tape, and the next game that we're going to play is coming up just now. This is Micronaut 1. The instructions tell you this is a hard game, and one of the objects you have to do here is kill monsters in tunnels. Having a look at the keys to see how to control it. I'm using a combination of joystick and the keys, and the other version of the game that you've got here is a race as well. And the instructions in Crash Magazine highly recommend that you play the race version of it. Don't know what year this came out, didn't pay attention to the title screen or anything else like this. And I'm just having a look here to find my way around, navigate what I'm going to be doing, and I'm looking at this, and that doesn't look like there's a race there. That looks like some kind of maze game. So I'm going to abort this particular game and find my way into the race. The cursor isn't being controlled by a mouse, regardless of what it looks like with today's hardware. It's being controlled by a joystick, and I'm going to select the race game and give that a go. Full game, clearly you've got the baddies in here. Race is some kind of timed race that you do. And as soon as this fired up, it was wow. This looks absolutely great. It reminded me of the London Underground for some reason. Not that I've ever been in the front of the cab, but this is exactly what I imagined. And playing it so far, I'm accelerating here, and the sound is pretty much non-existent. The sound isn't there at all. All you have is the sound of me talking. But the speed that this moves, it was like, oh, this is nice. And then a split tunnel. Where do I go? I obviously went to the right here. So, I'm doing the race that we have here, and I'm just on my fourth lap. So it's a very short circuit, and the map essentially wraps around. So you go from A to B, then you're immediately back at A, and you do that 5 times. It's not in real life would obviously be a loop circuit, because it would be a bit too small, and we're clearly going in a straight line, not round many bends or anything. But for the purpose of this, it's a wraparound map. Started on level 5, on level 3. There seems to be no enemies that I'm fighting against here in terms of racing, so you're clearly racing against yourself. This is going to be using a ghost type marker, I guess, or at least a timed event for where you are. And as I was playing this, I thought, you know what, this is looking pretty, it looks absolutely awesome, but it's a bit too bloody easy for my liking. All I'm doing is accelerate, and then I drive into a wall there, and I have to reverse back. So you hit the reverse key, and you effectively get a rear view camera of your vehicle, and then you do a forward facing key to get the forward facing camera. And that was the one mistake that I did here. But this, as a full price game, there are enemies if you play the full game and not the race. But I'm doing what the magazine recommended we do, and they do have the full game on the tape. But the speed of which that you're going down these tunnels is, absolutely cracking. This game packs a punch in terms of what it is, and it does feel like you're going fast as well. Sometimes when you look at videos and you look at recordings of them, you're thinking, well, no, that's not particularly fast, but you do have the sense of speed. You really, really do. And I think I'm going to get a good time here. So laps left 1. Will it be laps left 0, or does it end at that point? We will see in just a moment, because the course is short. So here we go, no laps left, and we are on the last lap that's just ended. And 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So I put GPC, the initials of me being the winner here, and I'm going to give this another go, but we're going to try another track. So selecting track using the joystick, do track 2. And so we do track 1, that's where I was before, and then we're going to select track 2, and we're going to view the track again. And here we are. It doesn't look too hard. Doesn't look too hard at all. But oh, it's in white now, and again, very pretty. But what are those? Are those like Star Wars trench tunnel type walls that you've got here? Yes, they are. And the game suddenly got a lot harder. So you're going to see it play at a real fast speed now, because I've actually accelerated the video. I want you to imagine Austin Powers, the film Austin Powers, where he gets stuck in a corridor and he's going backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. As I play this was happening to me, and although you get fast sections like you've just seen at the moment where it looks like I'm in control of what's going on, I then screw it up and have to do a lot of reversing, going forward, reversing, going forward. The timer that you have at the bottom of the screen where it says forward and the time going down, that is actually in real time, but clearly not at the moment because I'm speeding it up for what we do, because I do get myself caught, I do get myself snagged, and it takes a little while to get out of it. And I didn't want you to see a video of going backwards and forwards, but I'm absolutely loving this game. This is brilliant, and for a free game, or you know, a cheap game because it came on a magazine, you know, Crash have hit it out of the park by having this alone, in my eyes, on the cassette that you see. And there's still 2 more games to go, but you know, this is a lovely game. Looking back on this, what would I have done differently? I love the concept of driving through the tunnels here. I love the concept of a train. I would have made this a train game where you were essentially controlling a train and you had stations that you had to get to. Where the tracks split, it was like on the London Underground, maybe going from the Central line to the Piccadilly line. You know, you move across onto the wrong track, so you'd have the objective there to stay on the right track with these 3D tunnels. But you would have a timer against you where you would have to get to the platform as quick as possible with your train to load passengers, offload passengers. You would still have all these walls here, so I wouldn't have made it the type of space game that it is. I would have made it a really, really twisted version of the London Underground. But this has been great. So, you know, the speed has been slowed down back to normal now, you know, where you can see the counter going at a regular pace. I do get through all of this. You know, I am about to complete the last lap, but you know, I had fun doing this. I've not played it with the enemies, and I will go back and play it with the enemies, but I absolutely had fun doing this. And for a free game, you know, it is absolutely brilliant. So Crash, you get an absolute huge tick box in my world for what you've given us here. You know, 7 minutes, 7 seconds. We were a lot quicker than that due to speeding it up, but great game. And it has a little demo as well. We don't watch all the demo, but I just clicked on it to see what it did. So we're going to exit this in just a moment's time, and we are going to be moving on to the next game. And the next game is going to be Mooncrester. Mooncrester, if you've been watching my videos, you have seen me do a video of this, of the arcade game. I was pretty good at this. And here is the Spectrum version. So it's free on the tape, you know, hats off again to Crash for doing this. If this is anything like the arcade version, and I know how it compares, you know, they've hit the ball out of the park again with this. Again, this cover tape here, right here, you know, a great, you know, version to have. And what I noticed immediately was the rocket going up and down was a lot faster. And yeah, there seems to be a little bit of slowdown on the enemies with all the sprites on the screen. I like the explosions, I'm enjoying the explosions, and it feels like the arcade game. Obviously a home computer version, but pretty damn accurate from what I'm seeing at the moment. And you know, explosions are very pretty. The enemy colours, they change like they do on the arcade. They were blue on the first wave, they become yellow on the next wave. So all in all, it feels like the arcade machine again on the home computer. So you know, recognise the gameplay, recognise what's meant to be happening here, and it appears at the moment a good conversion. So I've got to try and kill that yellow thing that I just did, and then you get all these butterfly type things, and just like in the arcade game, you can shoot them as they appear and they get killed pretty much straight away. So what this tells me is that the patterns are close, if not the same. The starting positions of them are close, if not the same. And you know, the people that program this version of Mooncrester know their stuff and know their job so far. After this, if you're familiar with the arcade game, we kill these two aliens left, one alien left, and we get a rocket dock section. Usually on the arcade game, this takes about, you do it on about 19 seconds left on this wave. You move a lot faster on the Spectrum one, but again, it's exactly what you would hope to do. The screen is a lot more compressed because the Spectrum had a much smaller screen than the arcade game, and it actually makes this wave a little bit easier. You know, you feel, although I die there, and a very pretty explosion that you saw there, it makes it easier to kill them as they appear on the screen because there's less distance between you and the bullets, but again close. When you die on this game, you lose one of the 3 lives, and you don't get any more lives as you progress in the game. And yeah, your ship is in 3 parts, and depending what the alien hits, depending what the bad guy hits, is what one you lose. These MiSters I've never been able to completely kill in the arcade game or not, but I still have the third life left, the big ship, so I can do the rockets docking on here. This feels a lot faster than what is on the arcade, but still doable if you know the arcade, but the conversion is absolutely spot on in terms of what you had back then to, you know, the ability of the machines, and loving what we see here. There's one more wave of these to do. These don't change colour, I don't think, unlike the original one. But after this wave, we go back to the first set of aliens. So, you know, I've got 11,000 points here at the moment. And, you know, my skills from the arcade, which were okay on this one, transfer very accurately onto this. So, the tape so far, we got the first game that was a bit too hard for me. And it was a demo version, a cut down version of the full game. You know, we've got the Micronaut 1, which was an absolute cracking game. I would still love to have it set in the London Underground, and I think you could have made a really good game out of this, but they did a good job. And then they do this arcade conversion here, and this was on the first, and I don't know how I survived that bit. This was, although I died there, this was on the first cover tape that Crash did in terms of the proper cover tapes when they started a series of them. So we're on our last life at the moment. I'm not going to get too far through here, I doubt, but you know, I do note, because the screen is a lot smaller, it was a lot easier to kill those aliens with this double firing base ship that you've got. And it's a shame that I never got all components of the ship stacked up, e.g. the single player one, the double firing one, and this one in the complete stack to do it. But you know, I'm liking the way that as they appear, I'm clearly wiping them out at the top of the screen. And you know, this, I was thinking that I was going to go a lot further. Obviously this means and tells you immediately that I'm going to die very soon here, but I did think I would get a little bit further than what I was going to, which brings us to the end of Mooncrester. So 3 views of games that we've got on a single cover tape so far. 2 of them have been absolute hits. One, it just wasn't for me, you know, and I'm sorry Codemasters, I'm sorry the Oliver twins, you know, you've been great to the world of the Spectrum, but yeah, it just didn't appeal to me here. Not a bad game, but just not for me. And we're going to be moving on to the 4th game. And the 4th game, you need to listen to the tune when it starts. I stopped that at that point. Unless I knew different words for that game, you know, I was always surprised that maybe I just knew the wrong words for the wrong version of it. I was always surprised that was the opening tune. So here we are on Monty Mole. You know, a brilliant game. You know, there's a little bit of slowdown here because there's something that I had completely forgotten. At least I'm not seeing on this version of the tape. And you have a long Death March tune that seems to slow the game down a lot. And you'll see a difference when we actually die in the mines on why this takes so long. And you know, it completely slipped my mind that happened, and I fall off the bridge and die again. But what we're looking to do here is get past the squirrel that's thrown his nuts down on the screen, and we have to collect the coal bucket. And then when we collect the coal bucket, something quite interesting happens if you've not seen this game before. So we're going to wait for the dying part to finish and try again. So try and jump the bridge, and then grab the coal bucket, avoid the nut. And this guy coming out here, this guy is Arthur Scargill, who was a miner back in the 80s, and I believe he was a union leader when we had all the troubles in the UK, and I believe he was meant to represent him. This game was a great game, and it spawned many sequels, and was the first game that I remember by Gremlin. And I actually remember a news report back in the day for the guy that wrote this game being in the news for being such a young lad that wrote such a brilliant game. And here you are, look at that animation there. You're not seeing that outside, but inside you see it, and that's why it took so long to die. So why did Monty die so fast? Aren't 3 lives enough to last? Not going to read it all out to you, but we're going to play again. Now, I hit 0 to start again, but what it does is it defaulted from the Kempston joystick that I was playing before to the keyboard. So you see me faffing around just a little bit here, trying to figure out what the keys are. You know, you've got left, right, up, down and jump that you've got to figure. So off we go again. Got those figured, grab the coal bucket, try and avoid the nuts and do a nice jump to get into the mine. This game, one of the unique things about it is it wasn't all timing based. And those crushers that you have here, those crushers that you've got to the right of me are random. So they come down at random intervals. They can come down very quickly from each other. And I'm remembering this here. So, you know, I run across and it kills me. Not too impressed about that. And here you see me standing. And what am I doing standing on the light bulb? Well, real life got in the way. And I had the cat clawing at the door, so I had to go and deal with the cat, and I then died because of the cat putting me off. And the cats were already in my bad book at the moment. Behind me, you can see Crash Magazine, but in real life, that is a green screen, and I did have them in the room at one point of the evening, and the little bastards decided they were going to start clawing the green screen. And that doesn't cost much money, but you know what? I don't want it damaged. It's fairly new. I'm trying to invest in this channel to do nice little things, and I've just avoided that object there. Yeah, I'm trying to invest in this channel to do nice little things that I can do without their little feet and their little claws damaging everything. The one piece of equipment, the one piece of stuff that my animals do not own is anything belonging to this video channel. So remember that those crushers are random here. You know, and it catches me. There is no timing that you can do. But I want to give this one more go. I was always a bit better at this game. So we're going to kick off again, and I'm using the keyboard again, not the joystick, because I got a little bit further, and we're going to try and collect the pots, get back across the river, and I land in the river. But it's okay, you know, I'm used to this. You know, we're used to dying, and I think that we may make it this time. Jump, and we do make it. And Arthur's going to mysteriously appear at the entrance, and we're going to go and collect some coal. So grab that one, jump up, and here for me it's the timing to have enough platform that I can do a left jump as soon as it extends, because otherwise I don't want to fall to my death. You know, you don't have much room for maneuver. Run past that, go all the way to collect this object, and it does slow down a little bit again, and then I immediately realise my mistake. I ran to the left and thought, no, that's going to kill me. Turn around and go back, and you do get a bit of slowdown on these levels. You know, I'm not sure why you get it on some, not on others, but it's okay. It does not ruin the game here. So this is where we died on the last playthrough. We're going to make another attempt to get that piece of coal, and we walk into the bloody crusher. As I say, it's random. There is no timing on this, but we're going to give it another go. And if we do that, there's what looks like a candle, and there's a whip. And if you get the whip, you can use that object to get past the candle to then be able to get the coal, because you've got no way of jumping and clearing that. So all I've got to do now is navigate my way back onto the middle platform and then down to the bottom section. So avoid the falling objects, drop down, go right, and then we should be able to jump and clear that. You automatically pick up anything that you touch, and then we can get the coal. So we're going to head back now and try and get onto the next screen. There was 21 screens, I believe, in this game, and we're going to move down onto the next. Now, this is a hard piece of coal to get. You have to step almost off the edge of the rope without getting hit by the object to collect it. And to complete the game, you had to get every single bit of coal. So that's an easy one to do. But this game here, you know, for the first Crash tape that they had, it absolutely hits it out of the park. This is an absolute winner. You have got 3 cracking games. You've got one demo that will appeal to probably a lot more people than myself. You can't go far wrong with this, and you know, for the price of £1.50, considering that you've got 3 commercially priced games here, you know, this was a great value for money. Anyway, we're near the end of this playthrough. I'm going to let this play out. I'm the Gentleman. This is the Gentleman's Pixel Club. If you're enjoying the content, please do consider subscribing. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Stay safe, take care, and look after yourselves. Goodbye.
Would you like to play again?